Not immediately in
Yeah.
in terms of my job.
Right.
I'll still be working at the same place I plan to work,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely opened up an avenue in terms of like side work. I think so. I'm going to be moving back to San Francisco, and like
Cool.
it's a big part of the culture there to
Totally.
have something that you're doing
Yep.
on the side that you're really passionate and pumped up about. And so I see the media publication I'm working on as that major side thing, and also continuing to write, continuing to produce content on Medium and other like sources. I think that's the main goal, is to really explore that. The main thing that drew me to this project is that it's about so much more than just food. It's about connecting food to health, to society, to issues that are going on. And so that really excited me.
Side hustle is the key today to do what you love. I think a lot of people think that there's this like gap that you just sort of go from here's what I'm doing to like what you want to do. And the reality is that almost everyone has a side hustle that they start out and they don't do it because of an economic game, right? They do it because they just love it. And then eventually they figure out ways to monetize it through speaking, through sponsorship, through all these sorts of things. And I think there's some really cool stuff as you start to research tools like Patreon, or I guess it's like a new model where people can patronize.
Patreon exists because when creators are paid, they can create more amazing things.
Smaller publications and blogs and stuff like that. And so, you know, you literally can start to monetize your audience who say, yeah, listen, I'll give $5 a month or $10 a month or $50 a month because I love this content. I want to get access to it. And that can be a way to suddenly, you know, if you play this right, suddenly you're making like thousands of dollars a month on your side hustle. But it's really interesting to see how the world has started to shift, that it used to be there's all these middlemen that kind of you had to, you know, play through in order to have a publication. And now you can have a media platform without that, and tons of different ways to have people sponsor and monetize it. And I think you're thinking about it the exact right way of like, great, I'm going to view this as a side hustle, as some way that I can pursue my passion and be looking for opportunities to sort of monetize it, so that then when you do decide I'm ready to go do this or do something else, it's not like you have to be like, oh gosh, it's such like a sacrifice. I gotta like, how am I gonna pay the rent? You've sort of been building that way all along.
So about, I would say a little over a month ago, I was scrolling through Instagram, and I'd heard of this girl named Vicky Gu for a while, and we have a couple key mutual friends, and so I was scrolling through and happened upon her page, and then I saw a few photos back that she had announced that she was starting her own food media publication, and she was calling for contributing writers. And this was just at the same time I was finishing up my book. I'm like, I'm done writing for now, but I want to continue writing in the future.
Right. That was kind of one of the things you said all along. Like, this is something that I hope that gets me, you know, into the writing and media and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And so I immediately reached out to her, mentioned what I had done. She had also graduated from Georgetown.
Oh, cool.
And so I mentioned the book and what I had been doing, and then it kind of evolved from there. We had a conversation over the phone that was really, really great, and we immediately clicked, had a lot of interest.
That's cool.
And so we had a great conversation. I'm starting to put together some articles. We've decided that I'll be more editorial, so really focusing on the writing, and then also getting contributing writers in, and then...
Oh, so this went from like, hey, from a contributor to like, you're like a partner to sort of this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
And I think a lot of it is that I asked for that opportunity, and I said, look, I have a lot of time now, and like I want to dive into something food related. She's working full time for a food design company.
Cool.
So I think it works out that I have all this free time to be writing and thinking about content.
Yeah.
And then she's really focused on driving the actual creation and thinking more on the business lens.
So what's kind of the next big things ahead for you guys? Like, do you have like a timetable, or how recent is this whole thing?
Fairly recent. I would say within the last month. And
Cool.
then just recently Vicky's put together sort of how the organizational structure is going to work.
Nice.
So I think next up just continuing to work through it. I know it'll take a couple months to launch.
Sure.
Definitely.
Sure.
But I'd love to go to New York too and actually discuss with her in person since she's up
that's
there.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you should, I think with, we're doing this event up in New York this summer,
Yes,
right?
I'm actually planning to be there.
Good. Yeah, you should. Because I think that could be a cool thing, right? Like have her there, have as a part of this one. And I think, with this Next Gen Summit that we'll be sort of a sponsor of, that I think there's an opportunity for you to kind of like put yourself among people who are young and in the food space and just sort of interested in all this sort of stuff, which I think could be really fun. It's cool. It's cool to. I think for you to be able to leverage this book to become an entrepreneur is sort of an interesting next step in this one. Which it's, again, you're already an entrepreneur by publishing a book, but then taking this to the next level and saying, okay, great, like, how do I build a media brand with this and with other people? It's
Definitely.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.